What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Your boy the Dread Man is back, hitting you up with an episode of Nerd Talk, and I've wanted to do this episode for a while, and that is review the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe from Iron Man 1 back in 2008 to Ant-Man July 2015. Yes, sir. I even dressed festive for the occasion. You know, I got my Marvel 616 t-shirt, Spider-Man, who also will be coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We'll see him first in Captain America Civil War. And it's a lot to review from 2008 to 2015. From movies to cameos to characters to special endings to post-credit scenes and all that. I'm gonna try to do that the best I can in a span of 15 minutes or less. And also I'm gonna be giving every movie a letter. I'm gonna be doing it based on letter grade, from F being the worst to A+ being the best. Now let's get started. Iron Man 1. This movie was pretty much the kickoff for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I honestly couldn't think of a better way to do it, especially since I'm kind of biased and Iron Man is my favorite superhero, so much so that I actually went all out, balls out, and got the special edition hard case DVD Blu-ray copy of Iron Man. Yeah, I'm a big nerd, I know. But anyway, Iron Man 1 was a great movie. It was a great movie. It really did show you how to start off a franchise. It set the bar for not only the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for superhero movies to come in general. And the acting was great, special effects were phenomenal, the story was good. It showed you how to do an origin story just right. And this, whenever I review movies, and this is something I don't really, speak on, but the casting was damn near perfect. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe casting is always great, and they couldn't have cast it better than Robert Downey Jr. He is Tony Stark. Outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's not Robert Downey Jr. to me. I know he's played Sherlock Holmes, he's played a couple other movies, but to me, he is Tony Stark. Now, the only problem, it's not really a problem that I had with the movie, was kind of the villain, because, of course you got to throw the origin story in there, how they got their powers and how they became who they became. But the villain, Obadiah Stane, also known as the Ironmonger, he was kind of a boring villain, but everything else was so good that I'm willing to overlook that, especially since he got better villains down in the franchise, especially with the Avengers and all that. But if I was to give Iron Man a letter grade from F to A, it would have to be a solid A for Iron Man. The Incredible Hulk. Now, this movie to me is the most under the radar movie of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially because it is not compared to that god-awful 2003 Hulk, looking back on that. Now, they say it's not a continuation, it's not a sequel, but it's somewhat of a continuation as far as the origin story, so they left out the majority of the origin story, and they just went with the regular plot. Now, this movie is by no means perfect, but, it's not a bad movie, it's definitely watchable, but it's not perfect, because the plot is average, the casting is average. Edward Norton was okay, they really did score big with Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. Now, is it weird that I like the 2008 version of the Hulk? They should have kept they should have kept that in the Avengers instead of the Mark Ruffalo looking Hulk, instead of modeling the Hulk after Mark Ruffalo. But the Abomination was a pretty daggone good villain. For the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that time. But it just seems like that movie, it had a couple of dry spots. But other than that, the special effects and CGI, it made the movie watchable, it made it entertaining. But other than that, kind of dry subplots, average casting, average acting. Oh yeah, General Thunderbolt Ross, he played a pretty good role, and he will be back in Captain America Civil War. So it's not a perfect movie, but it is definitely watchable. So I would give The Incredible Hulk a B-. Iron Man 2. Now, we went through all of 2009 without a single Marvel movie, and within a good reason, because of what they're setting up in the future. Now, Iron Man 2, while I like Iron Man, and he's my favorite superhero, I can't really be biased with this review, this was actually the worst out of the Iron Man trilogy. This movie is also, once again, this is one of those movies where it's not great, it's not a 5-star movie, but it is watchable if you do like superhero films. But the overall plot of the movie was, pretty much average. The villain, Whiplash, he wasn't really a standout villain, but he was decent. He was decent as well. But this was the first time that we did get to see War Machine in action. But he's played by Don Cheadle instead of Terrence Howard. And the first time that we actually got to see Black Widow in action. And the second time we got to see we got to see Nick Fury. The first time was in the post-credits scene of Iron Man 1. But once again, this is a movie where the last 30 to 40 minutes was the best. Oh yeah, the racetrack part for Tony Stark was that was awesome too. But this movie showed you the darker side of Tony Stark. This is where he dives more into his alcoholism, where everybody in the world knows he's a superhero, and he starts to abuse that power of him being a superhero. So that plot was pretty good. It was actually kind of a deep plot, but of course we don't really come for the plots. We come in the plot of the story. We come for the action. But all in all, it's a pretty decent movie. But overall, my letter grade for this, B-. Thor. Now, this is the origin story of an Asgardian prince who has fallen from grace due to his carelessness, and he's sent to Earth by his father Odin until he learns humility and gains his power back, and he's once again worthy of Mjolnir, aka Thor's hammer. This movie, pretty damn good. It is an awesome movie. Action-packed, funny, and it actually gave us the best Marvel villain to date, which is Loki. You know, Loki, he's one of those likable villains. It's not really too many of them. I mean, the Marvel, if it's one thing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is hurting for, is villains. But Loki, so far, he is the perfect Marvel villain because you want to hate him, but you can't. I mean, he's a likable villain. But anyway, back to the overall plot of Thor movie. Now, Thor, like, the plot is pretty decent because it's an origin story, but there's a couple of dry spots in it. Of course, you know, they have to throw a love interest in there with Jane Foster, but I mean, even that is as cliche as it is, it's still not bad because for origin story, you kind of have to expect that. And it also showed how Thor, like himself, you know, falling from grace and him being a prince about to be crowned king, he has to adapt to earthly life, and he does a pretty damn good job of it. And as I said in the beginning, with Marvel Cinematic Universe casting, they cannot have casted any better. Chris Hemsworth is Thor. So overall, decent plot, very good action, very good special effects, and awesome casting. So I'll give Thor 1 a B+. Captain America, the first Avenger. Now, he's not called the first Avenger for nothing, because he is the world's first superhero. And this is the origin story of Steve Rogers, a man who just wanted to do his part to serve his country in the war against the Nazis, but the U.S. Army turned him away because he was physically unfit. So what did he do? He snuck into the U.S. Army anyway, and they saw the heart and the courage he had, and they saw that that was enough for him to apply for the top secret program called the Super Soldier Serum Program, and it worked out for the best. And this is a very, very good movie. And the villain, the Red Skull in it, he was also a very damn good Marvel villain. Now, we never see him again because this is also the first time we see the Cosmic Cube, aka one of the Infinity Stones, the Tesseract as it's called in the Avengers, but I'll get to that later. But this movie, it was great casting, good story, and it showed you like the timeline. It showed you a very good representation of the 1940s and what America was going through in World War II. And this is also the first time we see James Buchanan Barnes, aka Bucky Barnes, who's later becomes the Winter Soldier after that tragic accident. But this movie is a pretty damn good movie. It is awesome. Like I said that you couldn't do a better origin story than Iron Man. This is pretty much Iron Man and Captain America are neck and neck in origin stories. There wasn't really much special effects, like, oh my god, blow your mind special effects, other than the ship crashing in the ocean. But this movie, it was pretty damn good. It was awesome. I can't really find too many flaws in it. The only real flaw, if you can really call this a flaw, the only problem I have with this movie is, like, in certain parts, it kind of, I mean, especially in the first 30 minutes, it kind of took a little bit of a while to get into, but in the end, it becomes worth it. So I will give Captain America: The First Avenger an A-. The Avengers. Do I even need to say it? Now, if Iron Man 1 was the kickoff of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers has to be the damn Super Bowl. And this was a culmination of all that they worked for over the years. All the development, all the characters, all the origin story, it all led up to this point. And God help them if they fail, because if they failed and this movie flopped, then all Marvel Studios would have worked on would have been for nothing. And not only did this movie meet our expectations, it went above and beyond. It showed us what, proper character development, and it showed us what special effects and CGI can really do. It really did go above and beyond what we really expected. It gave us everything we wanted and then some, because it showed us how you do a superhero movie correct. And it not only showed us how you do it right, it showed us how all these different characters of all these different backgrounds you have, I say Captain America, he kind of has that underdog story, somebody who's not supposed to be there and who's supposed to not be able to fit in society can lead. It showed a cocky, arrogant billionaire Tony Stark, how he can put his ego aside and learn to work with the team. It showed Bruce Banner, the Hulk. It showed how he's kind of like the loner and the outcast of the group, but it shows how he can use his power for good. And it showed how Thor, he can find his humanity by working with the team. And it also showed Hawkeye, who I also forgot to mention that he made a cameo in the Thor movie. It showed how Hawkeye and Black Widow, who are normal people, can be heroes too. And back to Loki. Loki, like I said, he is the best Marvel villain to date. It's because his chemistry as a villain, it works so well, because it seems like he has the ultimate goal of ruling humanity. But we also know that we also find out at the end of this movie that there's someone above him, and I'll get to that later. It showed how well he works as a villain with the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and with the rest of the Marvel heroes. Now, Nick Fury, who is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and who put this whole thing together, he said that this was just an idea and he was not sure if this idea was going to work. I believe he said that out of character too, because that's what Joss Whedon was thinking. But it worked, and we got something special. Like when we saw the Avengers assemble for the first time on the big screen, we witnessed something special. That's probably one of the best moments in cinema history. Action, awesome. The comedy, awesome. The villain, awesome. The special effects, awesome. I can't really think of one single flaw or one little nitpicky thing about this movie. I can't really find anything wrong with it. This is just overall one of the greatest superhero movies ever. So The Avengers gets an A+. And that does it for my Marvel Phase 1 review. Thank you guys for watching, and all my fans, friends, subscribers, do me a favor and like and share this video, and my Phase 2 review will be coming soon. But before I go, you tell me, what is your favorite standalone Marvel film? And is The Avengers your favorite superhero movie of all time? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back soon. Peace.